So just walk us through that kind of customer experience, customer journey.
Yeah, and I'll probably talk about this throughout the podcast as well, but there's kind of three main areas that we like to focus on when it comes to the experience for the traveler. The first is our onboarding, which I'll go a little bit more into the details. The second, which is the actual search, and then the third, which is the actual booking. So let's start off with more or less just the onboarding. We ask anywhere between 10 to 15 questions to better know the user about how they like to travel. So these questions, they're all over the place. It's like, do you like Wi-Fi? Do you like beaches? What kind of foods do you like? And basically what we start to do with that information is we start to curate the actual city destinations that we start to showcase to the user. So my best example here is if you hate long flights and you hate beaches, showcasing a Thailand is not going to be really relevant to you, right?
No.
And so exactly. And so we really want to kind of create that curated experience, especially because everybody travels for completely different reasons, right? One person goes for a bachelor party, the other person's just trying to get a weekend away from the kids, those type of situations. Then we're kind of dealt with the middle, right, which is the main search for us. And I'll just kind of walk you through from a user standpoint what actually happens. So you kind of touched on this earlier with the first kind of overview of Elude, but basically somebody comes on, they tell us how much money they're willing to spend, so their max budget, and then the local airport that they're flying out of is auto populated to your local airport. So in my particular case, LAX. And then you select the dates that you're able to start to travel. So let's say it's next weekend or a few months from now. Once the user actually selects search, what ends up happening is we actually piece together the flight plus the hotel for largely almost like 15 to 20 plus different destinations. And the user actually sees those destinations and are able to jump in kind of in quick views, both on the flight as well as the hotel. So everything is customizable, but we actually hand select and hand curate both the flights and the hotels per destination. So let's say, for example, that $1,000 in next weekend, you say London, Rome, and let's say Tokyo. The user is able to actually go directly into each one of these destinations and kind of hand select or change if they want to. So, for instance, if somebody needs to leave at 7 p.m. versus 7 a.m., it gives a lot of flexibility, and you're not kind of beholden to the actual search that we put together for you. And then we kind of get to the last piece, which is really where I'd say everything comes together kind of really nicely. So I hate to compare ourselves to the other travel sites, but if you think about like a kayak, for example, they're very much focused on just getting somebody to search. And then the second that they're about to book, they actually get pushed off to a third party to transact. We never wanted that feeling to happen. And I'm sure you've dealt with this as well. But when you're, let's say, about to purchase a flight and you click book now, it kind of pushes you someplace else. And then it's like $300 more, right? In the matter of a second. And as a user, you're kind of sitting there like, what the heck just happened? And so in our particular case, we actually own the transaction and own the booking. So what you see in the search is actually what you're going to be getting directly in the booking itself. And we ticket you as well as kind of handle all of the reservation systems, both on the front end and on the back end. So again, we can talk through a lot of like the regulatory hurdles that we had to get through in order to get there. But by and large, we're everything from the search to the actual booking.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I'm going to try to recap that just to make sure I've got it right, and then you can maybe push back on that. So it sounds like, yeah, I guess maybe to state it, search is itself, if you were to just do search without any preferences up front, is almost too wide open. And so first you're asking people kind of general high level questions that help you narrow down the list of search results. Then when someone searches, it sounds like you're doing, this principle in design called progressive disclosure, which basically just means don't overwhelm people with every detail at once. So it sounds like after the search, then they can go in, the search is pretty tight, but they can then adjust small little details of that. And then they never leave the site. They never leave Elude, or they never leave the app, I guess, in this case. And so they book, and then they're going back to the app, I'm guessing, when the trip happens. Can you maybe just walk us through, you talked about booking. What does it then look like? Let's say my trip's a month ahead of time. What does it look like as I start to then get ready to go on my trip?
Great question. So we're a little bit different than a traditional travel agent, or travel service right now, which basically, as soon as you get it's called in the travel world PNR code, which is like that 6-digit code, like XW 45J, whatever, something like that you check into the airline or hotel. We don't just provide that. We actually are able to kind of be along the journey with you. So we send across a handful of emails prior to your departure time, a little bit more of like the details of what you should be checking out kind of prior to your trip, whether that's, boots on the ground activities or experiences, things like that. We haven't really dabbled yet into actually being able to purchase experiences, but we do want to be kind of a trusted source directly to our customer base as well as our community around top destinations to check out and things to do in those said locations. So we are kind of like hand holding the user along their process, but you're hitting exactly on that. It's a little bit unique and kind of different than the traditional travel search.